So I am so excited today to welcome our highbrow, lowbrow fashion expert back from Paris and a quick jaunt over to Milan to see the Alexander McQueen show. She is going to tell us today all about what we need to know about for spring and summer. But what you just saw was fall.
If I understand correctly, you were the only African-American student in your graduating class of med school. Is that right?
Yes.
So you had sort of had this academic trajectory of being a pioneer, you could say, in all of those avenues. Did you feel like you had it under control by the time you got to medical school? Like you knew the ropes, you knew how to handle it?
Well, I felt I knew the ropes, and I also knew the kinds of things that would occur in terms of work on desegregating hospitals and health facilities, because all of the hospitals in Mississippi were segregated when I got there, even though it was a year after the Civil Rights Bill of 1964. They should have been desegregated, but no one was doing it.
So that leads to my next question. Is like somebody says, we want you to come down here and desegregate these hospitals. And you say, okay, sure, I'm on my way. What's the plan? How does that unfold in a...
Well, what happens, you're always learning. So you know there's a law.
How do you, I mean, it's very hard to even make sense of that, right?
Yes, it is, and very painful to have to face that reality and put your understanding of how entrenched racism is, to a new test. It's not something you taught people out of. It gets institutionalized, and that's what's going on in America still, is that it's still institutionalized.
So how would you compare the experience of sort of being in the trenches of the civil rights movement in the 60s to the environment that we're seeing today?
Well, it's very different in a lot of ways. First, the legal segregation is no
really does make it seem like, how can there be, desegregation of a society where you have so many African American males who are sent to prison? And it almost feels, when you read that piece, like this is a rite of passage, that this has become such a sort of coming of age story, that there's a part of my sort of outlook on this that wonders, like, yes, the laws were changed, but there didn't seem to really be the same opportunities, sort of as you're saying, afforded to, specifically, I would say, black men, to allow them to advance to an equal status.
Was to deter Japan. Guess who was sitting next to the Chinese PM during these celebrations? Yep, Vladimir Putin. Does this remind anybody of anything? The other key part of this that I don't think most people have any idea about is that the way the Constitution is written, we have something called the Supremacy Clause, and it basically says that the sort of national laws supersede state law, right? And in the United States, state sovereignty is a huge deal. The fact that Massachusetts can approve certain things that Connecticut says are illegal, that's sort of our right? And that's a big sort of foundation of this country. But international law, foreign treaties, supersede state law, right? So now we have international agreements that we're agreeing to that trump state law. So the way it is currently, if New York or Massachusetts decided that bananas were toxic, and we had a vote, and we decided, you know what, we're gonna ban bananas, we would be in violation of international law. And the international law trumps state law. So we have a whole framework that is dissipating in terms of the separation of powers. We have a framework that has checks and balances that are not happening anymore. And I think we have we have this idea of free trade, and I would say that the research that I've done makes it very clear there's not free trade. To go back to your question about Trump, I think that there's a level of rhetoric about we're going to get out of all these international trade agreements. That would cost us billions and billions of dollars. And we have multilateral agreements with a lot of these countries, right? So we are in the WTO, which has 167 members, I think. And we also have agreements with Mexico, right? We also have agreements, we're trying to do, agreements with nations all over the world. So if we got out of one, that doesn't mean we're out of the others. And there's a whole lot of power in this, right? So people want their TVs to be a couple $100, but they don't want their jobs to go overseas. Like, some of this stuff doesn't really add up in terms of the practicality of how this works. Like, is Trump going to be really popular if everybody has to pay $10,000 for their flat screen? No, I don't think so. So I think that there's a lot of wait and see. I think Trump is definitely trying to sort of return a favor to those who voted for him on the idea that he was going to bring jobs home. And I would caution that anytime you start strong-arming a business into not doing what is profitable for that business, that is a very short-term solution, right? So if we have major corporations that have found that it's less expensive to hire people in foreign countries, that's probably in the best interest of all of us, because that is, not just elevating the level of those workers in that country. You don't have to care about that, but it means that, like, our stock prices and all the other things here are also more secure.